There is a revolution happening in pro-level cubing. For decades, CFOP has been the dominant method for Thread 3. Other methods have attempted to dethrone it, whether it be Ru with its efficiency or ZZ with its lack of rotations. But none have been successful. It's hard to challenge the perfect balance of efficiency and TPS that CFOP brings to the table. But as one kid has shown, it's not impossible. For the first time in years, the 303 world record single is held by a non-CFOP user. Despite being only 7 years old, his determination and discipline make him worthy of his second in the world ranking. In this video, we will examine the solving style of world's finalist and world record holder. The most obvious thing about his solves that set them apart is his usage of the ZB method. The ZB method, or Zborowski-Bruchim method, boasts the ability to solve last slot, last layer with two algorithms. The first algorithm solves last slot and edge orientation in the last layer, and the second algorithm solves the cube. Aside from this, in theory, it's the same as CFOP. This requires just short of 800 algorithms. That's a lot, but it has the potential to cut down your solve time by a lot. In theory, it's the equivalent of getting an OLL skip every single solve. Now, if you're at a sub 15, sub 12, or even sub 10 level, then learning these many algorithms is a large ask. At a high level though, it's not, and most cubers already know large swaths of ZBLS and ZBLL already, they just don't know all of it. But out of them, Xuanyi Geng is the closest to perfecting it, as a few things set him apart. The first one is his experience. Out of the top 25, he is the one who has used the ZB method for the longest. That means that he can execute algorithms faster, recognize cases faster, and is overall more familiar with it. His expertise goes further than that. The optimal way to do ZBLL is to recognize the case without having to AUF beforehand. That is, to recognize a ZBLL just from the two sides you can visibly see. Xuanyi Geng is one of the few people in the world who can do this for every ZBLL algorithm, which allows him near instant recognition. Even if you have limited knowledge of ZBLL, learning two-side recognition for the cases you know can be easy if you already know two-side PLL recognition. I'll demonstrate using this case. So this is a T case, as you can see just from two-side OLL recognition, and you can further qualify that by first recognizing the CP and then recognizing the EP. So for the CP, you'll recognize from this angle that these two are opposites and these two match. Or from this angle, you can recognize that these two match and these two are opposites. So it's basically the same thing. If you get it from this angle, you can recognize that these two are buckets and these two are opposite. And same thing here. If you get it from this angle, you can realize that these two are bookends and these two are opposite. Now for the EP, if you get it from this angle, you'll see that it basically looks like an H case. If you get it from this angle, you can see that it looks like a U-perm. If you get it from this angle, you can recognize that these two colors match and these two colors are opposites. And finally, if you get it from this angle, you can recognize that these two colors are adjacent and these two colors are opposites. Using that advice, you can recognize this from any one of the 4 orientations that you'll get it from. So, Xuanyi does this for every case, at least to my knowledge, but you can use many of the same tools you use for two-side PLL recognition to your advantage. A novice at CFOP may think that the ZB method is just like CFOP, but you do the last slot differently. But if you're good at ZB, then your entire F2L will be affected. If you look at Xuanyi's solves, you will notice that he rarely has to rotate to get to his last slot. His ZB list algorithms are meant to be done with the last slot in the front right, so he thinks about that while doing his last few pairs. Take this solve. A normal CFOP solver may first solve these two, and then these two. That would be the smartest order, because if you did these two first, then you would have to rotate anyway to do that. 2 rotations doesn't really make sense. But since Xuanyi is solving this with ZBLS in mind, he will actually first do these two to force his last pair to be in the front right. Something that does not happen when you do this first. Then ZBLS, and then ZBLL. Now this one is the only complaint I have about his ZB skills, and that's how his algorithms aren't always objectively optimal. They work for him, and it's not my place to critique his solves, but I wouldn't recommend you do these algorithms yourself, as some of these ZB algorithms seem outdated and optimized for learning rather than solving. For example, with this case, he does an anti-soon cancelled into this lefty fat sexy sledge. When in reality, you can do this algorithm and it's way faster and way easier. Finally, for this case, he does Sexy Sledge into Wide Soon, when he could really just do this algorithm, which is way faster and easier to execute. Now, he probably learned these algorithms from a spreadsheet or something made by one of his coaches, but it's probably better if you use multiple resources, like speedcubedb.com and altdb.com, where each case has multiple algorithms that you can learn. Then you can visually see which one is better to learn, whether it's because it's short or RUD or RUF or something like that. Let's now focus on Xuanyi Geng's F12. Unlike other very efficient solvers, Xuanyi isn't color neutral and is limited to only white cross. This would be severely limiting to any other solver, but to Xuanyi, it's also severely limiting. It's not good to be white only. Despite this, Xuanyi solutions are laden with clever X crosses. I think that is X crosses are important to look at, as they highlight something that solvers, including myself, often forget, which is to not be distracted by luck. Take this solve, for example. A sub-10 solver may look at this scramble with delight, because look at this free pair. They would then take advantage of it. Like an idiot. Okay, to be fair, that solution is totally reasonable, but it's not optimal. And the better solution is found by ignoring this pair completely and focusing on this corner connected to the cross edge. What you may not have noticed, and what Xuanyi did notice, is that you actually do have a 3-move square here that he then takes advantage of. After which he notices that when you do an R2 here, you can actually cancel into the next pair and force a pair like that. That makes this solution much more efficient than the solution that was obtained by taking advantage of the free pair. Now, this doesn't always mean ignore the obvious solution. Instead, it means that just because you see something lucky, it doesn't mean you get to take it easy during inspection. Look at other solutions that may be more hidden and see if they're better. If you watched my previous video about X crosses, which if you haven't, why haven't you? But if you have, you may have noticed that the techniques that I discussed were either supposed to boost your intuition, or showed some sort of procedure that you could use to build an X cross. Procedural X crosses, such as keyhole X crosses, are easy to notice and plan, but often take more moves. X crosses built on intuition, such as square building X crosses, however, are difficult to plan, but are more efficient usually. This is of course not a hard and fast rule, just general. But very rarely will you see Xuanyi Geng go for a procedural X cross solution. Instead, he always block builds his X crosses from scratch. So when improving your F2L, note that this should be the goal, and you should only stick to keyhole solutions until you don't need them. In the many solves I've analyzed for this video, something I've noticed is that almost always, he either has an X cross, or one of his first 2 pairs is a free pair. This is virtually without exception. This is because he realizes it's hard to set up your first pair as a free pair, but it's really easy to set up your second pair as such, because you have so much wiggle room. Think about it. For a given cross solution, you only have 4 opportunities to get a free first pair, since there are only 4 pairs. But there are 12 opportunities to get a free second pair, since there are 12 ways you could do the first 2 pairs. So if you have a cross and you can see 2, maybe 3 good cross solutions for it, you can sit with it and look for the free second pair, which is likely on one of the cross solutions. And so, I've covered most of the things of note in Xuanyi solves. One of the most accomplished cubers in modern history, and he's still in elementary school. He has already pushed the bar to dizzying heights as is, so who knows what it will be pushed to in the future. I cannot wait to see where this young man's career is headed next. Thanks for watching this video. Now that summer has begun, I'll attempt to upload more frequently. This channel is still sponsored by SweetCube Shop. Use code NOTME at discount for 5% off your order. And I'll see you in the next one.